Stay tuned to learn more about student interest in blockchain technology. Reimagine 2020.
Hi, I'm Evie, CEO of Emurgo India. Happy to be part of Reimagine 2020, and I'm very happy that the Mosbel team at this point of time, at this point of pandemic, they moved everything to online. I'm very happy to be part of this and very excited to present as a member of Emurgo India.
Hey everybody, you have Patrick McLain here, one of your hosts for Reimagine 2020. I think we have a special guest for you guys right now. We have EV from Emurgo India. I'm excited to talk to him specifically what they're doing on the education side. And, obviously we're a very, university and student focused group, and that's kind of the core of this conference. So we're really interested in getting perspectives from, leaders in the space that are, really looking at education, how to teach the future leaders of tomorrow and kind of build that talent pipeline that we all need to kind of make blockchain a reality. So I won't butcher too much of what he's doing. I'll let him describe, but EV, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody, what you do and kind of how you got into blockchain.
Sure. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of the Reimagine 2020. As a CEO of Emurgo India, if I look at my experience of about 2 decades into education space completely, typically the edutech space, started at a faculty as a career, a techie, but moved into business. So for the last decade, talks about 2010 onwards, have been handling large businesses, part of NIIT Limited, a leading company in India, managing about 125,000 admissions every year. That's a volume we talk about. Then I was part of HCL. HCL is the top 5 IT company in India, about 300,000 employee base, was head of India education business, absolutely into the education space. And from there, then looked at the possibilities as well as the opportunities in blockchain. That is when the Emurgo story started. Till then, Emurgo is a name for a blockchain into e-governance, consulting, and all those space. And when we looked at the Indian market and when we looked at the potential of blockchain, then I got into blockchain space. Currently heading the India business for Academy, Emurgo Academy. But Academy is the base for global business for Emurgo India in terms of the education side.
Got it. So I have a question. Obviously you have a diverse background in technology and you've, kind of lived and breathed in the education world. What was the thing that really drew you to blockchain? Like what got you on that path? Why do you think you ended up here?
It's a simple, there are very few technologies, it cut across every domain, every industry, right? So that's a first excitement about it. When we talk about blockchain, I was able to relate to when internet came, what kind of a buzz it created. When internet came, we thought, okay, it's for sending an email, right? That's how it started all. But today, whatever you use, from your mobile to your Uber, your whatever you do, everything, the backbone is internet. Slowly, last 2 to 2.5 years, we started realizing that blockchain is going to be the backbone for many businesses. It's going to cut across every other industry. Starting from retail, starting from logistics, financial, insurance, any industry you take. So that is the biggest excitement for me to get into blockchain. The second is the kind of response what we started getting from the Indian government as well as the Indian corporate side as well. So that's the second excitement, saying that, hey, yeah, there is a big opportunity waiting for. So these are the 2 things helped us to get into blockchain.
Got it. And I just want to be very clear for the audience. I know maybe some of the general people, crypto, kind of maybe know Cardano quite a bit. Obviously Emurgo and Cardano are affiliated in a certain fashion. There's also, Emurgo Japan and what you guys are doing in Emurgo India. Can you kind of just break down simply what each of those arms do and kind of what they specialize in?
Yeah. I think Patrick, it is important to give the clarity to the audience. So Emurgo currently the entire base we moved to Singapore. While Japan office continue to be there, we have completely moved the entire base to Singapore. The global CEO and the global team operates from Singapore. So how we divided the entire R&D team plus the consulting team based out of the US. They're based out of New York, right? The entire education business is based out of India. It means that the New York team takes care of anything we get into consulting side, they will be there to support us. Anything related to education, the India team is the one spearheading to the whole world, right? A portion of R&D team is based out of Japan as well, and that's how we set up the whole business.
Got it. So I have a question. Not every blockchain company, and I think a lot more should really kind of double down on education, right? And I always tell people, I think that it's really an important part if we're going to build it, right? And I laugh sometimes because, maybe we live in the world where we kind of know people who have been in the crypto market and maybe people went through this ICO boom and bust, right? So I'll sit in certain circles, these investors, et cetera, and they're a bit pessimistic, right? They've maybe seen some of the, like, what do you call them, scams or dark sides of the crypto world. But then I get on a call with, 30, 40 students, 19, 20, 21 years old. They don't have this pessimism, right? They're like, I'm going to build an application and of course I'm going to use blockchain, right? So it's really, I try to tell people this. I think it's really interesting when I see what's coming up behind. I do think that we kind of know where those next generation leaders are going to come from. So what's important to your team? Like, why did you guys specifically really pull out education as a part you wanted to focus on? And, why was India chosen as one of the first places to set up that initiative?
Yeah, very interesting question, Patrick. See, one thing we are completely convinced, and we have been seeing that blockchain as a technology is here to stay. While crypto, all those stuff has been happening. There is a crypto ban happened in India, but it never taken away the implication or the impact of blockchain as a technology into the industry in India. Definitely, that's a first point. Second, why India? For a simple reason that maybe if I'll give her some data point, which really you'll be surprised to hear. India, we have about 38,000 colleges and 800 universities. It is that large talent pool available in India. And every year we enroll 30 million students into higher education. So 30 million is like bigger than some of the European countries, right? The population. So 30 million is the talent gets into the higher education. And when it comes to IT industry, if I talk about, the IT workforce is about 4 million plus in India. Out of 4 million, half of them are developers. So it means that any technology, if it has to survive, it has to spearhead into multiple domain and industry, definitely you need to have a talent pool. You know that Emurgo runs our accelerator. We invested in multiple companies. For us, one of the biggest thing which comes out in every board meeting or wherever we go, the first thing is that how do I get a talented pool, right? So today there is no formal ladder to reach to a blockchain developer role. Either you are a developer doing something else and running blockchain. Maybe that could be one case, or you are into a product company trying to do something. That's one part of the challenge. The second part of the challenge is today you come across multiple protocols in the market. Like every week, every month, we have been seeing a lot of changes happening. In that case, how do you keep pace with people who is ready to be deployed into the blockchain companies? So that is the biggest thing Emurgo decided that, yeah, we should have an academy, but the academy should have absolutely the industrial flavor. What the industry needs, and industry has to be part of the academy at every stage, right from content to faculty, delivery, and the final, the employment side. So that is the other story why we chosen education with a difference in blockchain.
Got it. And I want to kind of pivot to a little bit, talk about India specifically, but kind of stay on the point that we're on. When I look at blockchain developers right now, I've been in Silicon Valley for a long time, kind of been part of that world where, I know a lot of developers at Apple, Google, Facebook, whatever, right? And when I look at the metrics that they usually use to define like a good job, you know, a kid getting out of school today who has a choice, you know, I want to go work at Apple, Google, Facebook, where I think the incentives for these developers are make applications milliseconds faster, find ways to make more money off customer data, right? Things like this is like the checklist of why you'll be good at getting a job at these places. And then you kind of look at blockchain and it doesn't necessarily fit that criteria, right? Blockchain applications by nature are a little slower, right? They're a little harder to extort customer data. So when I kind of get to that point, it's what really, outside of money, what are the motivators, right, to kind of drive people or push developers, current developers, into learning blockchain, right? And I kind of net out as maybe it's if they care about privacy, if they care about kind of ownership of their data into the future. So I think to a certain extent, it can kind of come to like a psychological choice, but we also know money talks, right? So what are you seeing in India? Like, you know, obviously you guys have a massive base of IT talent, right? That represents and helps companies all across the world. Do you see developers in India kind of increasingly or any kind of massive scale looking at blockchain as like a new job market they want to go after?
Okay. So I can give two different answers, right? One, I'm going to talk about the students, the university students who are all there, why they want to choose blockchain. It's not only blockchain. Blockchain is one of the key emerging technology. They also choose AI or ML as well, right? It's part of the emerging technology portfolio. See, one of the key factors we have been seeing the last 4 or 5 years is during the campus hiring, the students are taking the startups rather going for a big size company. So they feel that at a startup level, I have a lot of flexibility to learn, to try, to practice, and over a period of time, I can take an entrepreneur route. In fact, the top colleges, at least 40 to 50% of the students, they choose startup over the bigger companies at the cost of a lower salary, maybe a stock option, of course. So that's a student side, that's what is happening. If I take the working professional side, the developer side, what's happening in India, so the technologies like a Java, .NET, whatever you call it, today there is a demand versus supply story, right? The supply is more, but the demand is less, right? And the more and more you go up in the ladder, the number of openings also very less for people with at least 10 to 12 years of experience. And the salaries have come to one level. For them, getting into an emerging technology is very comfortable and it gives a big boost to their career. And they also, after 10 years of experience, if I want to choose an entrepreneur route, still I can choose it with the any one of the emerging technology. So that way they choose blockchain or AI or ML, any one of it. That's why if you look at the recent LinkedIn 2020 survey in India, blockchain came number 1 in terms of the talent demand. So obviously people will feel that, yeah, there is a demand, then if I switch over, obviously it's good for my career. So that's how the two different segments chooses blockchain on any of the emerging technology.
Got it. So let's talk about India specifically. You know, obviously, as you mentioned earlier, there's regulatory questions still up in the air, right? I think certain parts of crypto are banned. How is that impacting kind of the perception in India? And do you think that it's driving, like, you know, sometimes you have a kid and you tell them they can't do something, it's the only thing they want to do. Is this driving people to get into it? Is it dissuading people? What is the kind of the stigma of crypto in India?
Yeah, I think I'll have to give you a little story. So, but before start the story, maybe I'll give the good news. The federal court, that's the top court in India, Supreme Court of India, said crypto cannot be banned in India. That's a good news. It came about a month back. The Supreme Court verdict said you cannot ban crypto in India. That's a big good news for us. What is happening now is that the government of India is framing the policy for crypto. So we may expect once the pandemic is over, I think we may get a policy note from the government with a guideline how we can move to crypto. At this point of time, it is not banned as per the government, the Supreme Court order. So that's a crypto story. But definitely there is one challenge we have come across from 2019 January onwards, the day we opened up Emurgo in India, particularly the university or even the developer community. The first question is, hey, blockchain, no, yeah, it is cryptocurrency and it's banned, we should not be doing it, right? It is very difficult to explain to them blockchain as a technology is here to stay, but crypto is only one part of blockchain. definitely took a lot of time. Even legally also. For example, if I give a story, we went to open up our company account in one of the leading banks. The bank said, first give me a board resolution stating that you will not do cryptocurrency, because the moment I say Emurgo and globally we are connected with Cardano all, then they said, no, we can't do that. So from there, every step was an obstacle for blockchain, purely on the understanding side of it. But what's happening in India in the last 12 months is the government is supporting fully into this technology. That's a big change happening in India right now. At least most of the state governments are moving e-governance to blockchain. At least I can tell you 2-3 bigger states in India, they are moving to e-governance. The Federal Bank, Reserve Bank of India, which is the controlling bank which controls the entire economy of India, has set up a separate task force to work on blockchain technology and how it can be incorporated in the banking system. So there are 3-4 very key initiatives by government of India that is really started giving the right picture about blockchain into the market. So that way, I think now it is much, much better. Now, if I see the startup world in terms of the requirement, in terms of the product, definitely there is a big change in the last 12 to 15 months.
Got it. It's exciting to hear. And I kind of brings me to my next question. So, I think I may or may not be right about this, but, I think I'd say my perception is if I open the news, I'd see, a lot of news about, the US, maybe the battles there in crypto or blockchain. You read a lot about it in China, certain parts of Southeast Asia. You kind of catch headlines from India, right? I would say they've tended to be more what they're banning than what they're creating, right? So how do you kind of view India's reputation, or how people kind of view India in regards to a key blockchain player? Are they underestimating India? If so, why are they underestimating India? And what do you think might change in that perception in the next 12 months?
See, if I look at India as a market, as a perception in terms of blockchain, I would say number one, in terms of as a technology, I think India is going to take a lot of lead because a lot of things are happening in the market. So in that context, I think it's going to be a big change in the market side in terms of blockchain as a technology. But in terms of the crypto world, I think we will take some more time. At this point of time, I don't think we are going to get any framework immediately in the next 2 to 3 months of time, unless until some work is happening in the government side, which I'm not aware of. At least another 6 months of time, I think the crypto world, I'm not seeing anything majorly going to happen. But in terms of blockchain as a technology into 2 major areas, definitely the blockchain as a technology into the banking side, it's going to take a big lead in India. Already it started. Second, in terms of the e-governance, I think it's going to be a big news here in India. I think that model can be taken into globally because India as a country, it's large. When we create a solution for e-governance, I think it is easy for us to take it to the global. So these 2 areas, I think India is going to be in the headlines in terms of blockchain as a technology. Crypto, I think we'll have to wait.
Got it. So who do you think in 3 years, who do you think are going to be the top 2 governments worldwide that are really battling for blockchain supremacy? And do you think India will be one of those 2?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so because this current government is giving a lot of support to blockchain as a technology. In fact, to be more honest, any new technology comes to the country, it's always the industry taken, practiced it, and get into the university, and that's how any technology has gone up. But for blockchain, from day one, we have been seeing a lot of support coming from the government, primarily because of the security aspect of it, as well as the transparency. See, it's very simple, right? You have 1.3 billion people. Their data has to be put somewhere, right? It starts from there. It starts from there, right? If you have a system which can give the security and transparency, then I think that is good for the government. So it solves a lot of their problem. I think they firmly believe that. In that context, I think, yes, it's going to be a big thing in India.
Governments don't always want transparency. Okay, so I think I want to pivot back a little bit on the education side. Do you guys plan to open the Emurgo Academy to other parts of the world? And if so, what are kind of the next places you're thinking about?
Already we are operational in Indonesia. Indonesia, we set up a team. The entire, as I said, academy, the global base is India. Already we have operations in Indonesia started. We set up a team. Anytime we are going to sign up with a couple of universities. That's one. Second, we are seriously looking at the Southeast Asian countries. All of Southeast Asia, we are looking for setting up the university signups. That's already on. On the other side, we have a working professional program called WorkPro. It can be taken by any developer who would like to move to blockchain. So that program, it was an offline program till March 2nd week. After the COVID-19, we moved to online. And April, we just opened up our online globally. And the last batch started in April 25th. Now we have about 9 nationals attending the batch. About 25 of them are there. 9 from Germany, Italy, France, and Finland, all. So the WorkPro batch, now we decided that we are going to have a global presence, absolutely global presence. And now we are trying to launch batches which is adjusting the time zone, like a US or a Western market. We are trying to launch a batch convenient for their time zone. So WorkPro, we are absolutely global. University, we are, Southeast Asia is the first focus. And wherever we get a request or a response, we started working on that as well. Like today, I had a call with one of the leading university in Bulgaria, and we are going to sign up. So that request, whatever comes, we are taking it up. And we are a purely global, willing to explore the new market for sure.
Got it. Yeah, interesting. You mentioned Indonesia. I think specifically, just one of my friends, the app there, like the Uber of Indonesia, is Gojek. But one of my friends is the founder, and the CEO actually just left a few months ago and actually went to be the head minister of education for the government. So Indonesia is actually taking a pretty aggressive approach. They just basically brought in a tech CEO to be so they're looking very critically at technology right now.
In fact, for us, Indonesia is a very, very strategic market. Let me tell you one more thing. Indonesia, I'm sure you know that Indonesia coffee is one of the reputed coffee producers in the world, right? Last month, Emurgo, we launched a product for tracking their coffee. So we launched, successfully implemented in Indonesia. With that product, you can track the coffee bean right from the farmer end to right from the store. So we have launched, and it's already on the implementation stage. Hey, not able to hear you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hit unmute on my mic.
Yeah.
But I was saying we have about 8 minutes here, and I want to kind of switch back a little more depth on the education side, and kind of ask specifically what you guys are delivering, and then also kind of get some words after that for a lot of the students listening, and some advice you might want to give to them, how they should think about blockchain as they think about their futures and their kind of next career path. So the first question I'll ask is what are you guys specifically teaching students, right? Like, and obviously we don't need to go in like the class details, but the rough subject outlines, like what are you guys actually teaching when a student gets done? What is their like net outcome? Are they building a product? What kind of products are they building that are interesting?
Okay. So I think, Patrick, I need to give a little about 2 minutes talk about my delivery ecosystem, how we created for the students, so that at least the students who are all listening will get benefited. See, we have 4 different modules available called L1, L2, L3, and L4. The L1 is the model talks about foundations of blockchain. The first program talks about 40 hours of program. It talks about what is blockchain, why blockchain, and what are the possibilities of blockchain. Blockchain also has got its own limitation. It's not going to solve every problem. And how do you evaluate that whether my business or my product needs blockchain or not, and the actual case studies. So that's how the foundations of blockchain happen. Then we move to Ethereum, then Hyperledger Fabric, then Cardano, and some of the emerging protocols. So that is the flow we follow. What is important here is the moment you get into Ethereum, every student has to do a project in Ethereum. Typically, the titles are given by the employer whom we are onboarding. We onboard the industry. The industry gives us the rough title that is given to the students. That's one way of doing it. Second, Bharat and team who is in the call, his team also creates the titles. So the student, before he moved from Ethereum, if you have to move to Hyperledger Fabric, before that you have to submit your workable model project in Ethereum. And that has to be approved by the academic team. Only you approve that, then you go to the Fabric. Then Fabric also the same process is followed. Then they go to the emerging protocol. So at every stage, the student goes to the real-time project and implementation gives the complete hands-on experience. The second thing is the Work Pro batch. Every batch has got, say, about 20 students. 2 or 3 students joining as a group and they are doing a group project. And everyone comes with a different background. It gives them the different flavor to their project. So this is on the course curriculum and the delivery side. On the other side, we give them the access to the synchronous learning platform. This platform, it has got the entire content available. Whatever they learn in the classroom, there is a reference material, assessment, all available. Apart from that, always we have if a batch is about 20, 25, always we get about 10, 20% of the students who is very keen to take up blockchain to the next level. For them, we created a knowledge repository. We signed up with some of the global organizations to give the latest what's happening in the blockchain industry. That means they will learn something beyond in our content. So that's the other thing, the knowledge repository given for somebody who's very keen and would like to make it something different in blockchain. If I look at it, it's about 250 hours of very, very comprehensive program. In fact, first 2 batches have come out and both the batches are on demand for hiring. That's because they learn a public blockchain, private blockchain, the implementation and the knowledge repository which goes through the real time what's happening in the industry.
Got it. Well, no, it sounds like you guys are doing a really complete, walkthrough, right? And I think that's how people need to be graduated in. I think step by step, blockchain can kind of be demystified, but when they approach it in the abstract, it's almost like there's too many options, and like most things, when you get your first website up or you get your first app loaded on a phone, even if it has one button that makes a cow noise, like the minute you kind of do that, your head starts to wrap around it a little bit. So in our final, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So one more thing, Patrick, there's one challenge we continue to deal with, that is the Bharat and team always work on, that is in simple word, by the time you complete 3 or 4 months of time, there are a lot more new things that are happening in the industry in blockchain. So our curriculum, the content is getting updated at least every 90 days once. Second, whatever we do, we have the industry backing right from the content delivery project everywhere. So the first work, what we have done is onboarding the industry. So that means we have to be relevant. The student has to be relevant to the industry. So that is the biggest task which we are going through, and very difficult to cope up with the change happening in the industry. So by the time, for example, when I'm starting Ethereum and what designated in Cardano, now it is going to be completely changing. So that is the other area. I think it's a lot of work we have done, and it's an ongoing work.
Got it. No, it's nice. As you guys know, you're part of an education alliance. So you see some of our motivations, right? We try to help university students. Obviously, a lot of you students are listening to this call. And before we kind of get to the final part here, we have 2 or 3 minutes. What advice would you give to, a 19, 20, 21-year-old student, whether they're in India or America or Asia, a data science student, CS student? How would you tell them, to think about blockchain and as they kind of try to factor into their career path potentially?
In simple word, I would say that blockchain is a technology here to stay. One has to be very clear what he is good at, then start practicing it. So blockchain as a domain, if I look at today, at least I'm talking about Asia perspective, we have a developer role, we have architect, we have business analyst, we have testers. There are multiple roles that are coming up. One has to choose what is going to be suitable for him. 1. 2, be open to or willing to learn new things at given point of time. At this point of time, I would look at least another 12 to 18 months of time we will take to stabilize the multiple protocols. While we talk about interoperability, a lot of stuff happening in the market, I think keep learning is a very, very important aspect which is definitely required. Third, once you choose a specialization, start working out the real-time implementation. That's exactly the market needs today. Rather, you say that I'm a biggest developer. The biggest thing is how we are going to architect, and the core requirement today, at least the Indian market, if I look at, I have an existing system. How blockchain is going to talk to the existing system? That's the biggest question coming out. Or I have an existing system, I want to replace it. How do I do it? So these are all, if you're an 18, 19-year-old kid in the college or a university, you have a lot of time to learn, stabilize, start picking up things and keep learning. At least 6 months to 9 months time, you will come to know that which one you are going to work on. If you are going to look for a developer, then start moving towards that.
What if their mom calls them and says, I heard the government doesn't like Bitcoin, it's for drug dealers, you can't work in blockchain? What should they tell their mom?
Yeah,
this is happening. You know, I think even universities, like in the US, I was listening to stories last night. One of our partners at Ben, the Blockchain Education Network, you know, he helped form that in 2014, I think, at MIT. And, you know, it was years of evolution, and still where schools are, you know, canceling things because they're like you know, still there's some conceptions, right? So, and I think as governments, whether it's India or, you know, China, United States, as they kind of provide uncertainty and regulation, right? I do think there might be stigmas, maybe even that older generations, right, don't realize, and they might be trying to influence the path that, you know, that their kids or grandkids are looking at.
Yeah. So Patrick, if I look at, I think, see, that's a concern coming from the parent, which we need to address. But definitely we need to look at something beyond that. For example, we never thought like life is going to be simple with Ubers of the world, or everything is going to be in your hand. We never thought that digital is going to transform so much our life, right? Last 2 to 3 years, everything got changed. So crypto will be the way of life sooner or later, but the governments will take some time, because for them, it can be done with the framework. And I think they're working on the framework. Maybe another 2 to 3 years of time, that is a way of life. That will happen for sure, right? For example, last 2 years back, 3 years back, what are the career options available and what is available today? You see a lot of addition, lot of deletion, right? So the change is going to be constant in this world, and it will continue to be like that. And one has to be absolutely ready for it.
Get ready for a roller coaster, everyone. I don't think we're done yet. I don't know if we already dropped down or if we're just about to start the journey. So again, I appreciate your time, Evie. Really interested to hear what you guys are doing. You know, I wish we had more time. We have some additional panels next week that we might Ashley might send you an email for, see if you want to join. But before we go, if any students listening or people interested, they want to get more information on what you guys are doing, where should you send them?
So if anyone would like to know more about, I think they can write a mail to query@emurgo.in, right? That's a 24/7 helpline. You'll get a response in 60 minutes of time. It is not only about blockchain program, but still you have any doubts about, because we have a strong tech team completely backed with Bharat and the whole of team available. Even if they're stuck in any of the areas in blockchain, they can write to us, query@emurgo.in, and we'll be able to respond back to them.
Got it. So we'll put those links down here for anybody that wants to find them. But again, I appreciate your time, and you know, we look forward to talking in the future. So again, for any of the students listening, you know, make sure to watch this video, if not once, twice, right? And understand that what you're going through, whether it's an academic standpoint, how you're going to approach this market, you know, whether it's Mousebelt, Blockchain Education Network, Emurgo, you know, India education side, there's many parties pushing to provide resources for you guys to learn, right? And we're, you know, some people are trying to grow their businesses, some people are trying to support the ecosystem, but those resources are out there, right? So if you guys want to learn, you know, it's up to you to really push out and look for them. So once again, Evie, thank you very much. I appreciate the conversation. Any last words before we go?
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. Thank you for the conversation, and definitely wishing the Mousebelt team and the Reimagine 2020 a big success. Thank you for your time, and all the best.
Awesome. Well, hey, to everyone at Reimagine, appreciate you watching this portion of the conference, and we'll have some more cool stuff coming up shortly. Thank you, guys.
Stay tuned to learn more about the state of blockchain education at major universities all around the world. Reimagine 2020.